All right, so welcome back to Eve Talks. We're joined by David. Thanks for taking the time to come in, speak to us.
Pleasure's mine, yeah, absolutely.
So how are you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Finals coming up, but feeling good.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple final papers myself.
Oh yeah.
Luckily this semester that I only have one final, like sit down final. So
Not bad.
That's not
Not
bad.
bad.
Not bad. Cool. So just want to introduce yourself.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. My name is David. I'm a junior at Williams College, political science and Russian major. Just actually declared leadership studies concentration without having to take any additional classes.
Wow.
So it's a steal, it's a bargain. I guess the reason I'm here today is to talk about my most recent internship that I did over winter study.
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to work in the government, but I've been trying to make a pivot into the private sector. So that was kind of my first foray into the private sector. So excited to talk about that with you today, Kai.
Yeah. Let's just expand on that right now. So
Sure.
where and when did you work? So you said winter study was the time that you
Yeah.
took the internship.
So I was at New Signature, which is a tech consulting firm in Washington D.C. It was a Spec 21, and it was over winter study, and just learned a lot. I mean, is there a specific thing that you'd like me to talk about?
No, just anything that you feel comfortable sharing about
Yeah.
your experience. I mean, just anything.
We can.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I was studying abroad in Russia in the fall, so I applied through Handshake. Don't remember when, but I did.
Yeah.
And Reed Widower, who is a shout out to Reed, who is a class of 2000, is the current CTO, Chief Technology Officer, there, and he was actually an English poli sci major, if I remember correctly. And so when I saw that he, was a Div 1, Div 2 person, serving as the CTO of a tech consulting company,
Yeah,
I was
no.
like, oh my God, if he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, yeah.
So I applied and got it, and it was really, really interesting to see just what they do, how they do it,
Yeah.
how they've been growing, how I can contribute, even, as a poli-sci Russian major, not as a computer science major.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a really interesting experience overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something about Spec 21, so I know what that is, but
Mhm.
for the people who don't know what a Spec
Right.
21 is, just...
So I don't remember the official title, but if I remember correctly, it's like the workplace placement program.
Yeah.
I'll have to look up the specific
Yeah.
wording, but it's basically you get to work in an alumni or a parent's, a student's
Yeah, pretty much anyone
parents'
in the Williams
office.
network.
Yeah, for a month, which is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about how you managed to secure the opportunity.
Mhm.
So from securing it, what went through your mind? Like, all right, so I'm just gonna move here. I'm gonna do this. Like, where was it? Like, how did you figure out the logistics?
Yeah, so logistics was interesting. If I remember correctly, I had to, it's very difficult to book a book housing or just find housing in general.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had a couple of friends studying abroad with me at AU, at American University. Shout out to them too. But in the end, I was able to get an Airbnb, which is a whole
Clutch.
different story.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A lot of debate surrounding Airbnb right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's good. So housing, transportation, food, like was sort of sorted out by like connections that you had.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it was just Airbnb and
Yeah.
had to pay for pretty much everything. But luckily, I was able to do that. So
Yeah.
very thankful.
I guess like one thing I'm really curious about is like, there are a lot of course offerings on campus for winter study.
Yeah.
Like what made you want to go into the workplace in particular? Like why do a winter study sort of internship in
Yeah.
another location rather than stay on campus?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
So, me wanting to kind of pivot from the public sector government work to private sector work, I knew of the importance of internships. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I just didn't have any internships in the workplace. So there were some really cool opportunities like, like learning R or Stata or programming Python, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
But I decided that, that's something that I could maybe learn on my own over the summer.
Right.
If push came to shove, but I can't really get an internship experience on my own.
Right.
So I thought it would be like a kind of easy way to get my foot in the door.
Yeah. No, I think what you're touching on is really important, like the value of a workplace experience. And so
It's huge.
I would hope that, what people can take away from that response at least is that, like, value work outside the classroom just as much as work inside.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I wish that I could have also done an internship, but it's J this semester, so paying my dues and sticking around.
Yeah.
I actually participated in some of those workshops, the Stata
Did you?
and our workshops, yeah. So the school offers workshops to develop skills, like practical skills for the workforce and things like that, and for different classes that you might take at Williams. So encourage you all to get in contact with Office of Accessible Education or Academic Programs, one of those, and see if you can get involved in that. But yeah, let's get back to your internship.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
like, just walk me through a day-to-day experience. What was the title of the internship again?
So I was just an intern,
Yeah.
but I think on my LinkedIn I have written down. Let's see, what do I have written down? Digital transformation intern. That's what I have written down. And Reed, Mr. Widor, is a huge proponent of digital transformation, which is, when you're at the Purple Key Fair or at any different event, everything's kind of on paper.
Yeah.
And it's really inefficient. People lose it, and person B is supposed to, enter it into like Google, or what's it called? Google Spreadsheets or Excel or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a hassle. So just putting everything on the cloud. Did a very poor job of explaining that. I'm sorry. But
I mean,
so the internship was basically about, we had to, because New Signature is a growing business, our goal was to identify a business pain point and then to do whatever we can in the span of 3.5 weeks to solve that.
Right.
And I had a friend with me, Jeff MacArthur, and we were in charge of multiple different projects. And what I worked on specifically was creating this skills database so that the employees who work at New Signature can have like a profile, so to speak, on CRM, on Dynamics 365.
Right.
So having their name and all the list of their skills and certifications that Microsoft requires, because they're a Microsoft partner, which means that they sell Microsoft products to other clients. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sort of what you touched on there is sort of a workplace environment where you're working and juggling different projects and collaborating with others.
Absolutely.
Like, did your Williams experience thus far, sort of prepare you for that sort of work environment that you experienced in the internship? Or?
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to say that, like, a specific Williams experience has directly impacted that, but I think just being at Williams and taking on leadership roles, being able to speak to people, not just peers, but also professors and visiting guests, alumni. Yeah. I think that all helped me to excel at the workplace, just because communication's a very vague, skill, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's something that I feel like we at Williams develop pretty quickly. And,
I agree.
Come in with the skills. So.
Yeah. So you touched on the sort of alumni to student connection and how you secured this. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Like why even reach out to alumni in the first place?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that I could tell myself just a year ago, even just a couple months ago, don't be afraid to network. Just reach out, and I quite frankly, I mean, this isn't really specifically pertaining to the internship, but just networking in general. When I reach out to alumni, I didn't really expect them to respond, because it was impossible for me to understand that, these alums who graduated 2015, 2014, heck, even, 1989, they were in our shoes just a couple years ago, right? Yeah. And the fact that they went through some of the stuff that we went through, I could not imagine that.
Yeah.
So I thought, even if I reach out, they're not going to want to help me. But surprisingly, most of them do reply,
Yeah.
and they're so willing to
It's,
help.
yeah, it's super receptive. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're a freshman or a sophomore or a junior or a senior,
Yeah. Literally at any point.
or, yeah, literally even if you're an alum yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Honestly, dude.
don't
yeah.
be afraid to network.
Instant transition. That Williams network is really strong. I completely agree. I was fortunate enough to sort of learn that early on.
Yeah,
Just because, just me as a person, I'm very like risk taking. So
Yeah.
like, what was there for me to lose really was the question for me.
good point.
And sending out that email, and I was just surprised. I remember when I first came into Williams, I was like, all right, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be an architect, going to be pre-med, also pre-law, and probably some pre-engineering as well.
Yeah,
And I just reached out to a lot of people in the industry who were doing similar things, in those various things. And
right.
the response rate was just amazing. Like,
Right.
I didn't actually understand it myself until like now I'm like more tenured, I guess, in that regard in
Yeah.
networking. But yeah, I really can't speak more highly of anything that I've experienced here and through Williams than just the connections with people. Like,
Yeah,
people are willing to help, and I think that that's important. Like, people are willing to pay it forward, and so like we should take advantage of that. Just more generally.
yeah. Quite frankly, I thought it was the whole alumni network thing, just because I've never really done any networking before coming to Williams, or even before a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I just what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say, but
Yeah.
it's really important,
Yeah.
and people are willing to help, and I guess hopefully when you and I graduate and we're in positions where we can help and pay it forward to other students
Yeah.
that come after us, I think it's really important for us to be able to give back in that regard as well.
Yeah, I agree. Paying it forward, I think, is essential.
Yeah.
And what I'd push back on is that you can pay it forward right now, right?
That's
like,
true. That's a
you
good
are
point.
paying it forward right now. Like,
That's
your
a good
experiences
point, yeah.
are valuable, regardless of class year. Your
Yeah.
experiences are valuable. Even before coming to Williams, your experiences are valuable, and sort of that's what we market, right? Like, people in the classroom, the body of students being so diverse and the way
Right.
that it is. We really need to start tapping into that, and so this is a perfect example
Yeah.
of that as well. So yeah, touching back on the internship. So
Sure.
was it, all that you'd hoped that it should be? Like, your expectations, did reality meet those expectations? Or
So quite frankly, I didn't go in with any particular expectations.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
I just kind of went in with, seeing myself as a sponge.
Yeah.
Whatever I can learn, whatever I can get my hands on,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just soak it up and take as much as I can with me.
Yeah.
In the short span of 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I didn't really have any expectations.
No, that's totally fine. I
going
mean,
in.
yeah,
Just wanted to learn a lot.
just learning, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
And I did.
awesome. Yeah, so that's good. So speaking on learning, like, just tell us like one lesson that you learned while working there. Like, what's the biggest takeaway
Biggest
from working
takeaway.
there?
Yeah. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's really important because when you're working as an intern or when you're working as like an entry level position, you want to make sure that your job primarily is to. The way I see it is to make your boss's life easier.
Yeah.
Right. That's how you kind of climb up the ladders of the hierarchy, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a kind of cynical, pessimistic way of looking at it, but at an entry level position, you have to do the grunt work and the, yeah. So just being able to ask questions, ask pointed, relevant questions to fully understand what your task is.
Yeah.
And then being really resourceful in going about that project or task or whatever.
Yeah.
So just, I think being resourceful is a huge thing. When you have a question, don't just like first thing like ask your boss, but trying to really putting in that effort and figuring out the answer for yourself by yourself.
Yeah.
Before having to ask for help.
Yeah.
Of course, ask for help when you need it, but I think it's important to be resourceful.
Yeah.
Finding the answer for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you started going into this already, but if there was just one sentence of advice that you'd give to a Williams student, maybe out of what you just mentioned or something completely different,
Sure.
like just one piece of advice that you learned.
Does it have to be related to?
No, anything.
Okay, anything.
Anything.
Don't be afraid to do career exploration. I think is a big one. I came in wanting to be a diplomat. Came in wanting to work for the government, and as a result, I didn't really take advantage of the career center. Actually, that's a good one to use the career center.
Yeah.
I just thought I know what I'm doing. I don't need their help.
Right.
But just learning about different options, because you might come into Williams thinking I want to do law, but you might not actually want to do law, right?
I completely understand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So just don't be afraid to learn about different sectors and different job functions. So yeah, career exploration I think is really big.
Yeah, for sure. I could not echo that any more than, like, I guess I can share one piece of advice that I've done. Since I've been at Williams, I've tried to take one class sort of out of my comfort zone, I guess. I'd call it more stretch zone.
Yeah.
Just something that just doesn't relate to any way, shape, or form that I've thought about any problem before.
Right.
And so that's taken the form of music, dance, theater, religion.
Wow.
Whatever it is that at the time seems relevant,
right,
or not relevant to my particular course load. And I found that that's really sort of, widened my perspective on a lot of things, because really, when it comes down to sort of like major selection and like discipline, you're really just choosing how you want to rationalize different problem solving skill, or problem solving in the real world, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't speak to that enough. Just really career exploration, but just explore in general, classroom, outside the classroom.
Yeah.
Internships, and that's a good sentiment to
You're 32,
share.
right? My 32.
Yeah.
Our 32.
Yeah, our 32, yeah.
I guess our 64.
Yeah, in total, yeah. Yeah, no, this was great. Like, is there anything else that you want to mention? Anything we didn't cover? Anything you want to, just give to the Williams community?
Huh. I think I've said everything.
Yeah.
Thank you, I guess,
totally
and
fine,
the
yeah.
Williams Business Association
Yeah.
for hosting me, and
WBA.
yes, WBA.
Yeah. So one last question. We
Sure,
asked
absolutely.
this to all the panel people who come in and give talk.
Yeah.
So if you had to listen to an EVE talk,
Okay.
who are 3 people that you'd want to hear from? 1 alumni, 1 staff member,
Okay.
1 student, 1 faculty. Or that's 4, but you can choose between
Okay.
staff and faculty.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a really, really difficult question.
Yeah. First people that come to mind. As soon as you heard faculty, who did you think of?
First thing when I heard faculty,
Yeah.
Professor Alexander Matovsky.
There you go. First faculty.
All right.
First student.
Student. Samantha Polsky.
There you go.
She's an alum, I guess.
Oh, well, that's an alum, so
Okay.
not student.
She's also my girlfriend.
Yeah. Great. If you can get her in here, yeah.
Absolutely. That's 2. Let's see, the last one.
Current student. Anyone. Just think about your recent conversations.
Can I add another
Yeah.
alum?
Dude, add as many as you want. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Humes, I think he's like he's like the director of like the Greylock fund or something, like Greylock something.
Yeah.
And he from what little research I did, it seems like he does a lot of work in emerging markets.
Yeah.
Dealing with the financial aspect of emerging markets. So I don't know. I feel like if we can have him on, that'd be
That would
really
be an
cool.
interesting talk.
Yeah.
Pressure's on. Yeah. Yeah, no. This was great. I hope you had a good time.
I did. The pleasure was
yeah,
mine.
I really hope that this is valuable to the people that are listening, and yeah. Cool.